I was too lazy to research and I put whatever prop and candidate in my ballot. Tweeted a first-time voter during midterms, pretty much saying I don't care what happens in the future. According to the survey that was taken in class, half of the class is registered to vote, but only 1/4 actually voted in the midterms, meaning we are not using our right to vote for our future. In this speech, I will persuade you to register and to vote in every election. Voting is an issue for youth because we're not all using our voice. In this speech, I'll explain why it is important for youth to vote. Next, I will explain why it is important to get educated and vote for the future. Finally, I will inform you where and what resources there is to get registered. Why is youth deciding not to vote? The blog Intelligencer by Rachel Bashian interviewed college students about voting 2 weeks before midterms. The students fall between the age of 20 to 28. Most of the answers related on how they felt towards politics. It is a tedious process to get registered in Texas, let alone vote. This was stated by a 22-year-old from Texas. In many occasions, the motive for youth not voting is laziness. Many find it stressful to even listen to what the politicians are offering. I just didn't have time, I didn't have time and the energy. Something youth needs to understand is that if we don't think for our future and use our voice, no one will. Older generations vote for what is better for them, but they are not thinking about the long-term issues that can affect us. According to the website controlled by Parents to Young Adults, they claim that young adults aren't voting because they don't feel like it affects them. Without economic stake in today, like mortgage or taxes, they simply don't have the same focus on economic policy as they will one day. That was stated by one of the young adults' parents. With that said, youth believes that since it doesn't affect us now, it won't affect us later. I wonder if the youth cares about our future. Youth is deciding not to get educated in politics and refuse to use their voice. A newspaper article from The Guardian by Millie Morris claimed that youth doesn't vote because school teaches nothing about politics. If the education system can build a curriculum on how religion is practiced around the world, why can't curriculum about politics and voting be made? Eligible voters are afraid to get informed because they get stepped on when they ask basic questions. Many fear the fact of being pulled into a competitive world. There is not a 100% solution, but there is a way to rise the youth's voting percentage. Encourage each other to register and vote. On study.com, it states that a great percentage of eligible voters believe our votes don't count or won't make a difference. It has been shown in history elections that when local elections are tied, a coin flip determines who gets the position. Article states that if we make an initiative to vote, we can prevent the elections being made by chance. Letting our social agenda and future being decided on a coin flip isn't the best way to determine our future. We have a voice in environmental issues, our economy, and social preferences. It is important for us to understand and learn what the candidates' views are in society. If someone is put in office with certain views, it might not affect us now, but it may in the long run. It is important to research and ask questions to make the best vote. There may be traits we dislike, but we must maturely analyze them to be certain if it will benefit us in the future. If students vote and get involved, politicians will address the issues in schools and education. A quote by HuffPost, "If you don't vote, you lose your right to complain." If we don't use our right to vote, we don't have the right to complain because your vote might have made a difference. Now, being registered is a start, but researching all the props and candidate makes a wise vote. I just voted for whoever, I don't really care. That doesn't get us anywhere. If you are an eligible voter and use your voice, encourage other eligible voters. On usa.gov/vote is the fastest way to register. Another way to register is going to the DMV office. If you don't feel safe about voting or registering, there are many seminars where more info is given. When it comes to voting, a ballot should be mailed when elections get closer with the information of the poll that was designated for you. There is also websites to tell you where those polls are located. Do not be afraid of calling or asking officials if any doubt. Many feel like going to polls is a hassle and stressful because of lines, but the simplest way is mailing your ballot. Ballots are sent with enough time to send our votes through mail. This is the convenient way for those who are busy 24/7 and don't have time to wait at a poll. I understand it is time consuming, but it's important to build our future. On September 24, 2018, a video was made by a generation of doers proving they don't care what goes on at a school campus because they don't go to one anyway. According to them, we just whine and don't do because we are lazy. In a way, they might be right. Many marches and riots are made, but there is no voting to make that change.
Young people,
Don't vote.
don't vote.
Everything's fine the way it is.
Trump, that was us.
He's our guy.
Tax cuts for the rich? Hell yeah, I'm rich as fuck.
Climate change? That's a you problem. I'll be dead soon.
Sure, school shootings are sad.
But I haven't been in a school for 50 years.
I can't keep track of which lives matter.
Sure you don't like it. So, you'll like some meme on Instagram.
If the weather is nice, maybe you could go to one of those little marches.
You might even share this video on Facebook.
You won't vote.
You young people never do.
But I do. I do.
I do.
Midterms, primaries.
Every single election.
We'll be there, but you won't.
Because we're a generation of doers.
Not whiners.
And we're doing great.
In that case, we should make voting a trend. In 1972, 59% of young adults were registered, but only 50% turned in their ballot. In 2016, 51% were registered, and only 39 turned in their ballot. This is proving registering isn't the issue, it's the voting part and getting educated. According to an article from Vox, the youth turnout in this year's midterm surpassed 2014. This shocked many since the midterm elections are usually dominated by older voters. Young eligible voters are less likely to vote in the midterms than in presidential elections. As the percentage of young voters are increasing, it is still lower than the registered voters. I understand that many young voters don't want to stress about politics and get dragged into a competitive world. But I also believe that if young voters don't use their voice and vote, we will later be stressed about economy and our social agenda. We need to defend our rights and use the right of voting. Also, voting without knowing what the views of each candidate is not a safe vote. Getting educated is what can build a better future for the youth.